How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on NQ. I took a short position within the first hour of the day, netted a nice profit. That's how we like to do it, just a one and done, simple type of day. But before I go over my trade, I'm going to go over some of the levels that I have on the chart, what I was watching coming into the day. So let's take a look. I always start on the 4 hour. So we're pulling up a 4 hour chart here. I'm going to extend some of these levels so you can kind of see where these originated from. So coming into the day, obviously yesterday, Monday, we had a big move up, right? We rejected right off this level that I had. That was a high a day. We had some consolidation in here. And then towards the end of the day, pretty much at the end of the day today, we got a big move up and are testing that all-time high level. So I should probably draw a level up here to designate that all-time high, just visually, so I can understand where we are in the market. But that's a topic for perhaps tomorrow. So what I was watching, right? We had some levels drawn based off this consolidation that we had around all-time highs. We extend those levels out. We see that yesterday we had a big move up towards this level that we had consolidation, or this area that we had consolidation, right? We reject off this level in the after hours. In the pre-market, we're moving sideways. In the open this morning, so in the pre-market and right as market opened, we got a little test, a little pullback and test of this level here around like 21,163. Held that pretty well, made our move eventually up to this level. You see on that 4 hour, right, we rejected off of it, and then the following 4 hour candle broke through both of these levels. And we'll take a look obviously at lower time frames to see, you know, how price is reacting. This is 4 hour. I'm not trading off the 4 hour. This is just simply for levels. So coming into the day, I was thinking, you know, if we pull back to this level and hold it, we could see a move up. If we break down, maybe we see a pullback down to this level. I'm really just letting price do its thing and, you know, determining what we trade based off that. So with that being said, I use the 15 minute, the 5 minute, and the 2 minute to trade based off of those 3 time frames. I use higher time frames for levels. I use the 15 minute for kind of like a bigger scope of trend and price action. I use the 5 minute to get confirmation in a trade when I'm taking a trade. And then I'll use the 2 minute as well for confirmation, as well as like entries, exits, etc. So this is the station, the trade station. Let's take a look at the trade that I took. So I'm gonna start it off. Just thoughts that I had coming into the day. So I'll walk everybody right through it so we can see exactly what I did. So I approached my desk. We're looking at this pre-market action right here, right? So this is 6:45 my time. Market opens at 6:30. You can see that big spike in volume. That's the market open. So before the market open, just before the market open, we see a big drop, right? Pretty bearish. We see large spread candles with very low, or pretty much non-essential, what am I trying to say here? Essentially non-existent wicks as well. So I don't know why that tied me up. But every candle in this 4 candle sequence is very bearish, right? Large spread, super high upper wick, closing doji at the bottom of the candle, large spread, no wick to the bottom. So in the pre-market, we're looking bearish. And then we start moving sideways around this level. I'm waiting to see, does this level hold or not, right? This is another very bearish candle, right? We close green, but we close pretty much at the very bottom of the candle with a long upper wick. First bullish candle, you know, lower wick, closing in that upper half of the candle, decent spread. Pretty much the exact opposite. If you took this and inversed it, this is pretty much what it would look like. So that it's not really telling me much. Same thing here. This is a weak candle again. So everything here is weak. We open up the day, we print a somewhat bullish candle, right? It has a long lower wick, it has high volume, but that's to be expected on the first candle of the day. And get a move up, and we close strongly above the level. So from here, I'm thinking, all right, maybe we bounce, right? Maybe we bounce and we start working our way up, and we're looking at this level around 21,162. Maybe we make our way up to this like 260. Right? And that's ultimately what we did, but there's some hiccups along the way. And that's ultimately what we ended up trading. So we get a move up. I didn't take this bounce. I was kind of thinking about it. But one thing that kept me out of it is the fact that we had kind of this congestion, this chop. And then the pre-market, we looked pretty weak, right? We looked really weak. So right off the open, I wasn't looking for a long necessarily, even though we were holding this level. And we see on the 2-minute, right, we're underneath that 200 EMA. Generally, I want to trade according to that. You know, that's not always, but a good rule of thumb is if we're above or under it, it gives an indication to if we're weak or strong. So we start moving up, and so far so good, right? We're looking like we're making a recovery, a bounce. But then we have a few candles that led me to take a short. So we have this candle is weak, right? Closes red, very decent upper wick, long lower wick. So you see it tried to close even lower, but it closed, you know, pushed up a little bit. We have this candle, weak, right? Low spread, very low spread, high upper wick, low spread, high upper wick, close red. We have this candle, which is bullish, right? In this four candle sequence here, this is the first bullish candle. But look at the volume, non-existent essentially. The lowest volume that we had since pre-market. Even the pre-market candles were higher volume than this. So that's not something that you want to see. So right here, I see weakness. I see weakness in the price action. And then once we do have a somewhat strong candle, right, we don't have good volume to indicate that that's valid, right? We have a good move ups, you know, okay, maybe we're making our move up, but then you look at the associated volume and you realize it's almost non-existent. So there's not a lot of people backing that move, right? You don't want to put your faith in that. All right. So at this point, I'm thinking that we're weak, right? Pre-market, we looked weak. Market opens, we're not looking so hot, not looking so strong, not the type of thing that you'd want to see if you want to go long, right? You want to see big spread candles, high volume. You want to see small pullbacks on low volume. You want to see that trend continue. We're not really getting that. All right, so we get this candle on low volume. Still thinking we're looking a little weak. Then we get this candle, right? Once again, pretty weak. And what does it test? It tests this pre-market area where we had this big dump. So you know that there's people selling up here, right? And if I look at the 15-minute, right, this is the 5-minute. If I draw it back to the 15-minute, look at this area. This area is kind of where been in an area of congestion, some sideways price action, and this is kind of the upper limit of it, right? From like here to up in here, we're seeing rejections. We're seeing rejections here, 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 here. You know, we try to wick up higher. We sell off. We come up right in the pre-market before market opens. We sell off in this area. So we're seeing associated weakness in price action, in volume, and it's at the same area that we've seen weakness in the prior days, you know, price action as well. So all these things kind of make me think it's looking a little weak. So we get this weak candle, this very weak candle, and both of these are on higher volume, right? You see that volume's dropping off on this move up. That's not what you want to see if you're bullish. And then as we get to this area where we'd expect to see some resistance, right, where we've seen selling in the past, we see volume pick up. So we see volume pick up here, and we see a weak indication of price action. So what is that telling me? That's telling me, all right, we see volume start to come into the market, but the market is showing me that it's weak at an area where it's been weak before. So until it proves otherwise, until it shows me some strength, I'm assuming it's weak here. So this is where I start to look for a potential entry short. And these three candles right here are what gave me confidence to enter. So I entered on this candle here, and the reason being is for the reasons mentioned here. Low volume, weak price action in an area where we might see some selling. But we had these three candles here print a classic reversal pattern, right? We have these two candles to either side having a lower low, lower high. This candle has a higher high, higher low, and it's weak. So we kind of make our push up and we start to make our move back down. It's a classic. It's called a pivot high. It's a classic candlestick pattern. You can look it up and see examples for yourself. But I love it, and the same thing's true for pivot lows, right? So this is an example of a pivot low. We can use this as an example, right? We have a higher high, higher low on both sides of this pivot. This candle has a lower high, lower low, and it's at an area of support. So all those things look good, right? And then we get a massive reverse and a move up off that. So that's just an example of the opposite of what we had here, right? Here we're showing some strength, right? We show long wicks to the downside. Looks like that selling pressure is kind of slowing down at an area where we expect to find support, and we get that associated move. The complete opposite is true here, right? We see some signs of weakness in an area that we expect some selling, and then we get that move down. So I entered a short here. I waited for these 3 candles to print. Entered a short here, risking above this high a day here. So stop loss was about 20 points or so. First take profit was 30 points. Second take profit was 40. Took 6 contracts. Took 5, sold 5 at 30 points. Sold the remaining 1 at 40 points. Once I sold my first batch of 5 contracts at 30 points, then I moved my stop loss to break even so that it's a guaranteed winner. I can't take any loss on this trade. But we didn't really get a much of a move up, right? Once we moved down pretty aggressively. And then I like to watch the 2-minute. So you can see price action and volume on the 5-minute, but then you can really kind of break down that within the 2-minute as well. So this is just another layer in terms of how I knew that this was kind of weak in this area. Take a look. This yellow level or line. All right. Okay, I don't know what that was. Tradebait tripped on me. This yellow line here is the 200 EMA on the 2-minute. So this is based off the previous 200 candles. Putting more weight to the previous, or the most recent. All right. Look at the struggle that we have here, right? As we see weakness here on the 5-minute, in that same area, what are we doing? We're testing this 200 EMA and just struggling, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles. It took 10 candles to finally break above it, with 9 of them rejecting off of it. So it's struggling, right? It's struggling. And then when we do break above it, we see some increased volume, right? We see a bullish candle with increased volume. That's good. That's what you want to see for a breakout. But immediately after, we get a bearish candle on similar volume. So that's kind of a toss-up, right? We're seeing, okay, about equal selling and buying at this point. Then we get another bullish candle. And then we get this. And this is the anomaly, right? Because it's pretty high volume compared to what we saw previously. And it's comparable to these candles that have a bigger spread. But this candle has a very small spread, and it's a classic kind of reversal, right? A little wick to the upside, closes red, closes down towards the bottom of that candle. That's not a strong candle. And then especially when it's at an area of resistance with high volume. From there, we kind of move down. We're kind of moving sideways. We're testing this level. And had we come down, and this candle here, this green hammer, you see that spike in volume, that gave me a little pause, right? That gave me a little pause on taking a short, because typically that's a good sign of strength. But look at what follows it. We don't get a bounce out of this area. In fact, we don't move up at all. We immediately sell right back down and start kind of moving sideways. And then once we closed weak on the 5-minute, I entered somewhere, I think on this candle right here. So got a pretty good entry, had a solid risk. Obviously, if we broke above high a day and keep moving up, then my trade's invalidated. We're not rejecting off this area. But that's not what happened. And then we got a pretty aggressive move down. And when we did, look, we were rejecting off that 200 EMA. Then we started to hold it as support once we were above it. And as soon as we broke down, right? As soon as we broke down, look at that spike in volume, and we got a pretty fast drop. So that's what you want to see, right? You want to see price move in the direction with a strong volume associated, and that gives you a good bet on that move being valid. So that was it. That was my trade. Nothing crazy. It's pretty simple. But I hope that kind of gives you an insight into kind of candle by candle on both the 5-minute, 15-minute, 2-minute, what I was looking at and what I was seeing. So that's that. We can go over the price action just briefly. There's actually some really nice moves. Generally, I'd want to take a trade at one of these levels that I have from the 4-hour because it gives me more confidence that these levels are valid, right? But this was a pre-market level that I took the trade off of, and pre-market levels can be very valid as well. So that's enough yapping. Let's take a look. So we get that move down, right? We kind of stop close to this level down here, make a lower high, then make a lower low. That lower low is that pivot low that I showed you earlier. We test right off that level. Look how accurate that is. I love it. Bounce, get a really strong move up. Break that high a day, right? We have some consolidation around this level. But what don't we do, right? We don't necessarily look weak. it just looks kind of like indecision. We have kind of like these dojis with candle wicks to the upside and downside being about equal. Spread on all three of these about equal. These are three identical candles, kind of crazy. But yeah, what do we have? We have, if you look at this 2 minute, we have high volume on this break up, and then we have pretty low volume on this pullback. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see that high volume on the moves up, low volume on the pullback. It gives you good indication that we're on a move upward. So make our way up to this next level, and what do? We reject off that level. From there, we kind of continue to move sideways, climb our way back up, face some more resistance at that level, break above, wick perfectly off this level temporarily, and this is in the after hours. So that's kind of right where market ends, and then we get that move up, and so far we've been pretty bullish in the after hours. But that's just that. We're looking at, how is price reacting to these levels? Holding as support, acting as resistance, acting as resistance, breaking above it. I expect price to probably pull back and test this level. Would not surprise me at all. But that's all we got, right? Just that one trade. I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions or if anything wasn't clear, if I covered something too fast or if I was inconsistent, just call it out. Let me know. If you have anything that you want some more clarity on, feel free to drop a comment and I'll be happy to respond. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I trade live almost every day. We're not going to say every day because I definitely miss some days, but I'm pretty consistent almost every day. Monday through Friday, I trade live here on this YouTube channel. I post recaps like this one that you're watching right now, going over more in depth of what I saw during that live trade. Yeah, we're just working on our way to get funded. I just got a challenge account. So this is on a demo account. This is just paper trading. But we ran up almost 12 racks on the demo account, and we're gonna try to do that on a Apex challenge account. Get funded, get your money up. All right, peace. Hope you have a great day.